Hey, what's going on, man? Coach Tyler here with Black Diamond Softball and Fitness, and we got a brand new episode of the Foul Pole to Foul Pole Daily Show, brought to you by my friends over at the Carolina Patriot Collegiate League. Man, if you're looking to take in some summer softball action, some college action, you got to check out that Fayetteville-based Summer League. Going to be happening between the months of June and July up in the Fayetteville area. You've got incoming college freshmen getting a taste of the college game. You've got some seasoned veterans maybe in the transfer portal looking for a new home. You got some that are just trying to stay sharp, but man, there's a lot to offer. Fans are going to have a great experience. There's going to be some interactive stuff going on. You can check it all out at cpatriotcl.com. Players can register, fans can check it out, and stay up to date with all the happenings that is going on. So today's episode is going to be brought to you by the Nexus Mount. Attention gamers and streamers, say hello to the ultimate solution for capturing game footage. It's the Nexus Mount. Our turnkey kits provide a secure and hassle-free way to attach multiple devices to any fence, net, or tripod. Crafted from lightweight aluminum with a powder-coated finish, our mounts are built to last. But that's not all. Our innovative design features a removable shade cover to protect your devices from direct sunlight during your outdoor streaming events, minimizing the risk of overheating. Don't settle for anything less than perfection. Unleash the full potential of your streaming experience with the Nexus Mount. Visit us today at thenexusmount.com and elevate your game. All right, man. Today is March 18th. We're going to get into some of this week's action. Had a lot of great games this weekend. You had LSU dropping their very first game of the season, which was, it was bound to happen. It's very, very hard to go undefeated. You look at something like Oklahoma, just probably the has been lapping the field over the last couple of years, and they even dropped one here and there. So as we get into Friday's action, had a really good game with Texas and BYU. Texas gets that win 7-3 over a tough BYU team. Texas State gets a win over James Madison 8-4. You had a great game between Alabama and Georgia on Friday night. Georgia gets that dub 4-2. Really good game. Defense played good on both sides. I was actually surprised there wasn't as much offense as I had anticipated. Georgia got a couple of runs, got 3 there in the fourth, and was able to hold on for that 4-2 win. Georgia got a few hits, but really couldn't put much together other than that fourth inning. Pretty clean game. Had a couple of errors by Georgia, but nothing really stood out. Kenley Cahalan, of course, homers to right field in the second inning. I tell you what, that young girl, last year she comes in as a freshman, really graduates early to get in there early in the spring, and has really paid her dues and just stayed with it. Coach Murph has allowed her to kind of just play through her mistakes, and because she is young. And then now you look at her, man, she's out there playing like she's a daggone senior. So kudos to Kenley Cahalan, really playing good ball. Other action this week, you had Virginia Tech really blow up on Pittsburgh, 18-0 on Friday night. Number 10 Baylor goes down to Kansas 3-2. Stanford beats up on California 7-0. A really good game with Clemson and North Carolina on Friday night. Clemson gets that win 5-0. As far as how North Carolina fits into the ACC mold, man, I'm telling you, they're going to beat some teams that people probably don't think they should. It's going to be a good matchup later on this year with them and Duke. You got a Florida State team that's in there too. As far as Clemson, man, they're going to go as far as Valerie Cagle does. Millie Thompson, too, in the circle, she's great. Reagan Spencer, 4-0 on the season. She's pitching to a .53 ERA. So as these girls kind of get up there to Valerie Cagle's level and just, how great Valerie is. I mean, she's a phenomenal athlete. You're looking at probably College Player of the Year. She's just great. And somebody kind of needs to step up to be in that circle too, because that's what Clemson needs. They have the offensive firepower to play with the big dogs, but can the pitchers last? I mean, if you look at it, it's more of a staff-based league anymore. Not just one or two pitchers and here we go. It's like we need 5 or 6 that can come in at any point during the game and be able to be productive. So that's sort of where Clemson is right now. Oklahoma State gets a 2-0 victory over UCF. UCF wasn't able to get the ball in play very much. You have Washington really put a beating on Arizona 13-2, and Duke gets a win over Florida State 10-5 in their first matchup. If we move into Saturday, a lot of really good games. Saturday ball for me, it seems just like there's always great games that are going on Saturdays. So you look at a Northwestern team, beats Boston. Boston, number 22 in the country. Northwestern gets that win 2-0. LSU holds on to beat Ole Miss 3-0 on Saturday. A good SEC top 25 matchup with Texas A&M, Mississippi State. Texas A&M is able to jump out there, get that big win 9-0. Florida State beats Duke 4-2 in another really good game. At the end of the day, you don't really know what ACC is going to look like when it's all said and done. These teams are going to beat each other up. You're going to see like Clemson and Florida State and Duke kind of, getting a win here, a win there, maybe splitting a series there. So, man, I cannot wait to the postseason for those teams to sort of match up. And then as we look, towards the Women's College World Series and stuff like that, man, it's just a lot going on, ACC and SEC. Arkansas gets the win over Auburn, 5-1. Oklahoma State beats UCF 10-4. Florida gets a good win over a tough Indiana team. Oklahoma really just put a beating down on Texas Tech, beats them 15-2. Kansas beats Baylor 2-0. South Carolina beats Minnesota 4-0. UCLA gets a win over Loyola Marymount 8-0. Stanford holds off California 5-2, and Washington beats Arizona again 11-3. So a lot of good matchups on Saturday, a lot of good ball, man. If you guys don't have ESPN Plus, it's worth the like 3 months of just having that service. It's really great. I mean, there's so many games you can watch, and it's not just top 25. It's not just the big Power 5 conferences, man. You can watch South Carolina Upstate. You can watch Longwood. There's just so many teams that you can watch, and some really good ball. All right, as we get into Sunday, some pretty good matchups yesterday. Nothing probably more impressive than the 3-2 win Boston had over Michigan State. Really great game. James Madison does get the win over Texas State, number 25 Texas State. James Madison wins 3-1. Florida takes care of Indiana 10-0. You have Alabama beats Georgia 5-4 yesterday. Duke beats up Florida State, gets that 9-5 victory. Mississippi State was able to bounce back and get that win over Texas A&M 6-5. Virginia Tech holds off Pittsburgh again, beats them 9-0. A really low-scoring affair. You had Kansas beat Baylor 1-0. A great pitching performance. If you were able to check that game out, man, defense was everywhere. No run scored until the bottom of the 6th inning where Kansas is able to get one across. Baylor's only able to get 6 hits. Kansas only had 4 hits. With the pitching, like I was saying, you look at what Kansas is able to do. You got Katie Brooks, 9-1 on the season. Only had 2 strikeouts yesterday, but she had 14 groundouts, a lot of weak contact, not a whole lot going on for that Baylor offense, which is surprising to me. Oklahoma State's able to hold off UCF 6-4. Good win from Oklahoma State. Hard to beat a team 3 times in one weekend. A team like UCF is able to put the ball in play. You know how much I love UCF just watching those girls play. Full of energy, full of excitement. Just a lot of fun to check those girls out. Auburn gets the win over Arkansas 2-1. Tennessee is able to beat Missouri 4-0. Oklahoma beats up on Texas Tech again, beats them 11-1. Arizona is able to get that win finally over Washington. They beat them 2-0. Number 8 Washington playing really good ball. NC State beats up South Carolina 4-0. You had Stanford holding off California 7-4. Northwestern beats South Carolina in the late game yesterday 4-3. Clemson beats UNC 9-1. And like I said, as we begin in this episode, Ole Miss is able to put the L on LSU. A really good game. LSU didn't really have a whole lot going on most of the day. Tried to rally late. Ends up getting beat 5-2. It just goes to show you, man, it's so hard to go undefeated on a season like this. Berzon takes the first loss. Sydney Berzon, she's 9-1. She's pitching to a 2.19 ERA this year. I think LSU is going to be the top of the class when it comes to the SEC play, but this is probably the first test for LSU this season. So can they bounce back? Probably so. I mean, you got Briggs, you got Petty, you got Lynch. Those girls can score some runs. And I think Ole Miss with Lassiter and Brady were just able to put the ball in play when they needed to. Tough game all around. And really, I think it's going to end up helping LSU in the long run. Taking a tough loss like this, they're going to be able to right the ship. And they've got a daunting schedule ahead of them. If you look at what LSU's got to do over the next couple of weeks, we're really going to see LSU do like a sort of a sink or swim type thing. They got one more game against Ole Miss tonight, but then they're up against Louisiana again. And then they got a 3-game set against Missouri, and that's on the road. And then, of course, that series with Florida is looming. It's always a tough series against Tennessee. And then, of course, they end the season with Arkansas and Liberty. So, the table is sort of set for LSU to go into the postseason hot. So I'm looking forward to what they can do. Looking ahead this week, got a couple of big matchups. If you look at sort of what, Oklahoma's got to do over the next couple of weeks, a couple of big matchups for them. Of course, they're 27-1 on the season. Next week, or towards the end of this week, really, you've got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 3 matchups against Baylor. Of course, Baylor always plays them tough, and then they got to go on the road back-to-back towards the end of this month. March 28th through the 30th, they've got Kansas, and then April 5th through the 7th, they got to go on the road against Texas. So really looking forward to that season, or that part of the schedule for them, sort of the middle part of the season. We look at Duke. I don't know if anybody's playing better ball than Duke overall. 22-2 on the season, 5-1 in the ACC. This week they play Louisville at the end of the week, and then next week they've got Virginia Tech. And if you look at a Virginia Tech schedule, you look at what Virginia Tech is able to do. We talk about the ACC. Virginia Tech quietly going 9-0 so far in the ACC. 21-4-1 on the season so far, doing exactly what they're supposed to do. This week, they've got sort of a double dip on Tuesday with Longwood. They do the same thing with Alabama coming up towards the end of this week. And then next week, they have on the road against Duke. So tough schedule for them coming up. I'm a big Duke fan. I love what they're about. I love how they'll small ball you, they'll beat you with long ball, and they'll give you some great pitching with some defense. So exciting stuff. Always, I got to check in on Oklahoma State and kind of show you where they're at. 5-1 in the Big 12, 24-3 overall, doing what they're supposed to do. Got a tough one with BYU. I know everybody kind of sleeps on BYU, but man, they are solid. If you go in there, dragging around, BYU's going to beat you. They turn right around next week and have to play Texas. So always good to kind of right the ship. A big win over UCF. I know they took a tough loss to Baylor, but they were able to bounce back last week, get that 3-2 win over Baylor. Did what they're supposed to do against Central Arkansas and was able to come away with 3 wins against UCF. So a lot of good stuff coming up. We got a couple of episodes that we are in the process of recording and editing for the podcast. Appreciate you guys sharing this stuff. Man, if you know somebody that likes softball, wants to hear about softball, maybe just get updated, man. Turn them on to this podcast. And as always, if you know someone, if you have that friend and you share it with them, make sure you tell them you love them.